Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's a Monday, just about 2 o'clock here. Checking the forecast, rain knocking on the door. It might actually be raining at your door right now, depending on where you live. So we'll take a look at everything that is happening. Pretty much everything on schedule. If you watch yesterday's forecast, we are right in the zone there. So we'll get to it. First, of course, coming out of the National Weather Service, we'll take a look at some of the watches and warnings up. Of course, we do have some winter weather advisories. We got small craft advisories up along the bay, and even a gale warning in some cases. So obviously not the day to head out on the bay. As we say, winter storm warnings up along what we call the west slope of the Sierra. That's basically the front facing, right? It's what faces into most of our storm systems, of course, right? They face to the west, and that's where the weather comes in from. That's where you get the most precipitation. You'll also notice a winter weather advisory here around Lake Tahoe. So a little lower in elevation, Lake Tahoe, a little less snow expected down at the lower elevations. Snow levels between about 6,000 and 7,000 feet with this event, which is starting now and will end probably on Wednesday morning. And there'll be bands and rounds of snow in the Sierra. So it's not all going to come through at once. And again, the west slope of the Sierra, that's going to include the Spur, Carson Spur, and of course Donner Summit at about 7,000 feet, and then the Spur, over to Kirkwood about 8,000 feet. So do have chains and or your four-wheel with all-wheel drive ready to go if you're going to travel through the Sierra here next 24, 36 hours, because again, this winter storm will roll through starting this afternoon and then go through about Wednesday morning. So let's get to it. Here is the visible satellite imagery. You can see the frontal boundary right here. Low pressure, there's some cold air that's diving down from the north. You can see the track is more or less down from the north, and some low clouds here along the Southern California coastline, and some clouds banked up across the Sierra this morning, and probably some fog in the Central Valley earlier. Infrared satellite imagery definitely showing that counterclockwise rotation like this, right? That's low pressure. The frontal boundary right here. So kind of just coming into, well, not quite the Bay Area just yet, but certainly they are starting to get some rain, and that front will continue to march southward. And it's going to be really interesting how this whole low pressure system is going to move through. It's moving from north to south now, and then it will move east and then go northeast over the next day or so. So it's going to kind of do a little bit of, I wouldn't say a full loop, but certainly going to kind of come around and then continue to go back up to the north. So it's going to hang around for a little while. Let's take a look at Doppler radar. The main frontal boundary draped out right here. Showers have erupted in front of that, and there's a batch of moisture here that came through earlier today. Maybe you got a sprinkler or two. I saw that in Watsonville, but again, it was basically just a tiny little couple of drops. Not expecting much out of that, because that is what we call virga. That's when, moisture is kind of sprinkling out of the clouds, but drying up before it reaches us on the ground. And that was the case earlier today. Again, that's that band right out here. Showers obviously now showing up on Doppler radar, starting to move in. So if you're headed out now, certainly bring the rain jacket or the umbrella. Again, about 2 o'clock here this afternoon. I expect some moderate to, could be an occasional heavy shower going through the evening commute. So that will be a little bit slower than normal. And that affects more or less the entire Bay Area. You notice up towards San Rafael, Santa Rosa getting some rain, South and East Bay into Fremont, and then going into, not quite there yet, you notice San Jose is in that little hole there. There is certainly rain shadowed in the valley coming off the Santa Cruz Mountains. So that's why you really don't see a whole lot here. It's kind of a donut hole. And Salinas has a lot of that as well from time to time, especially with a southeast wind. So again, rain knocking on the door here this afternoon, and will be making its presence felt through the late afternoon and the evening hours. What's interesting, and watch this with me, I'm gonna scroll through this. You're gonna see how that counterclockwise rotation as I go forward and backwards in time, and then watch how the whole system rotates to the south here. This is tomorrow morning, by the way, and then rotates back up to the north. So even though our showers will end, the snow in the Sierra will continue to go. In fact, they might get this wraparound moisture. This is Tuesday morning, so tomorrow morning there might be some wraparound moisture up in the Sierra, and that's why we could see anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow up there, maybe even a little bit more on the higher peaks. Mount Rose should do pretty well with this. And as we go through time, again, this will eventually move out, but you'll notice that wraparound moisture still getting into parts of the Bay Area, even, let's say, in the pre-dawn hours of Wednesday. And that could mean even some showers, out in the Santa Clara Valley. So we may not be totally done with this depending on where you live until probably Wednesday evening. So something to, kind of think about here the next couple of days, a little wet weather. You notice most of that drying up, and then by later Wednesday morning, the whole system is exiting out. So we'll have to just see how quickly it actually moves out. But certainly, again, rain this evening into tomorrow morning. We'll take a kind of a closer look here at our local area and get you going with the moisture. And you notice the showers kind of firing up here this afternoon. And again, that evening commute probably not going to be the best. This right here will get you to about the 5 o'clock hour, and you kind of see what it's supposed to look like. Again, this is a model forecast, so this isn't going to be exact, but I like the timing of it right now, considering what's going on currently. You can see there's Monterey, there's Salinas, right? Then we get down into Big Sur. You notice some heavier showers moving through, and then up into San Jose. So there's that frontal boundary right there for the evening commute. So going to be kind of hard to probably get on a roadway without it being wet, by this evening. That'll go through the overnight, and we'll continue to see that impact roadways overnight. There we go. We keep going. We'll go into tomorrow morning just to show you how this kind of all sort of heads out here. We're still in the overnight period. A lot of this will start to wrap up. And let's see. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, just, the wee hours of the morning, a lot of this should actually be moving out, but there may be some showers again in the afternoon hours tomorrow as things kind of wrap up. How much rain? We're still in that same program, valleys, quarter, half an inch. Your bullseyes, obviously up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, could see 1 to maybe 2 inches, maybe a little bit better in some spots. Same thing, Santa Lucia is obviously the mountainous terrain causing orographic lifting and wringing out more moisture. And then along the coast, let's say from Watsonville around to the peninsula, somewhere between a half an inch and an inch looks pretty reasonable. That's a good rainfall. It's a good total here for October. It's kind of like our average for the whole month, and there may be some more chances before the month is out. And just to give you what the Weather Service is going with, and I like this, 1/4 inch to an inch and a half, and then maybe 1 to 3 in the highest elevations, in that 1 to 2 range kind of looks reasonable to me, and somewhere between about 1/4 to an inch for most of the lower parts of the coast. And some, there could be an isolated, thunderstorm. There could be a little bit of hail with this. I'm not expecting widespread thunderstorm activity. So again, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It just gets you onto the platform here on YouTube, and hit the like button if you like what you see. And certainly write down in the comments if there's things you also want to see or not seeing, or things you want to spend a little more time on. Let me know. I have a lot at my fingertips here. We could go for an hour easily, but I don't want to take that long to give you the forecast. We'll do some interesting educational stuff here throughout the next coming weeks and months, and we'll keep you posted anytime there's any weather coming on in. So enjoy the raindrops. Hope you're ready for it. And, hopefully we'll be saying goodbye to fire season here shortly. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.